Hello and welcome to Older Condos Part 2. This is our bonus content, the follow-up information that we had with so many questions, basically overwhelmed with questions. As you can see, we're here with Julie Adamen from Adamen Inc. We spoke about the 4 C's of communication that we expect of board members at an association, that they're caring, that they're curious, that they're courageous, and that they communicate effectively. Most of our questions had to do with communication. So let's start out with that today. Julie, address that whole issue of communicating with owners. Tell us more about that. Go into some of the details.
Well, I think it's one of the biggest things that happens in homeowners associations because, of course, it's the nature of the volunteer environment, right? So the board members who have volunteered for this and aren't getting paid, and they may have work outside the home or family they have to take care of. So all of a sudden, you're just cramming this on top of them.
Everything they do is extra.
Everything they do is extra, exactly. And unfortunately, communication often is the thing that gets pushed to the wayside because maybe they're not comfortable personally communicating, they're shy, or maybe they feel they don't have the writing skills, or they don't really know how to articulate it or articulate it to a third party such as their manager to get things out. So I think that probably the number one problem we have in associations from all across the country and probably all over the world is a lack of cogent and timely communication to the owners. And when we start talking about something big, like, this whole thing started with the Champlain Towers disaster, right?
Right.
And going back and looking at how the most recent board had communicated to the owners, which was excellent, by the way. But also there was previous boards and all these down the road. I mean, evidently things were not getting communicated appropriately. So that's how we all got started here. So That's where I kind of want to go with that. Go, Robert.
Right. Well, you've got me taking notes here. Cogent and timely.
Yeah.
I like that. And there's also the issue of board members may think it's a job, and their job is to do the minutes, approve the budget, sign the checks, just those tasks. And as you say, the issue of communicating and framing the discussion, I think gets left to the side or just forgotten. I think any homeowner, if you explain to them, there's the business of running the association. There's bills to pay, and those bills go up each year. I think they would nod in agreement. Oh, I understand that. My bills go up each year.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of the board members communicating that to the homeowners and helping them understand that it's not the board off on the side, like an apartment management company. They are not doing something else. They are running the us. So tell us a little bit about communication techniques. Is it the meeting notes? Is it bulletin boards? Is it email newsletters? Is it the website? Tell us about all these.
I would say it's all of the above. I mean, and I live in a world where I believe that, there's no such thing as too much communication. I mean, if a homeowner says, I get way too much stuff from the board, I mean, there's a sentence that's never been said out loud, I think. But, it's all of the above, especially if you have something big going on, like you have a special assessment coming up, or there's just something large going on in the community, like Champlain Towers is that obviously they were going to do this very large special assessment, a lot of controversy.
Well, they had years of those that they were failed.
Yes, years of those fail. But let's say you're an association now, you're on a board and you have a large issue coming up. Let's just say special assessment, because that's always gets everybody's ire going, right? So e-communication, you all should have some sort of e-communication, no matter what it is, emails. It doesn't have to be a big newsletter of 12 pages in advertising. It can actually just be a couple of paragraphs. Most people would thank you for something short. Maybe it has to be snail mail, bulletin boards. If you have a big, clubhouse or a common area where everyone, congregates or walks by or something, that's good too. I'm not saying just do that. I'm not saying just do email or a newsletter. I'm not saying just do the website. I'm saying do all 3. And when you have something really big, I mean, and it's going to be politically difficult and it's going to be controversial, and that the rumors are going to fly around, I would say have a town hall meeting, and not maybe just one, maybe more than one. So if you have, let me give this example. If you have a special assessment that your board knows is going to have to come up in 6 months, that's when your goal is to shoot that special assessment in 6 months, right? It's going to come out. Is that you start 6 months early or even earlier, if you can, to start communicating with the owners, e-newsletter, email, put it on the website, hold a town hall, maybe hold a town hall the next month and the next month, because there really is no such thing as too much communication. And the more the owners feel informed, the less they feel blindsided. And when they feel blindsided, they come at you with the torches and pitchforks.
Yeah.
Information is everything.
Yeah. Again, you've got me writing notes. So there's two things going on: the timing and the medium. And it almost sounds like a political campaign when you know election day is out here in the future, or that special assessment day.
Yeah.
You are, okay, 1 month before we should have done this, 2 months before we should have done this. So you're guiding the electorate into understanding the issues. And so you are setting up the election, the vote, for success by telling them this, telling them this.
Yes.
I was just wondering, is there yet another thing that we haven't talked about? Pinch points at the association. If everyone walks through the same door from the garage to the lobby,
yep.
If everyone walks by, well, everyone gets their mail. So even if there's not a bulletin board there, might that be a good place to either put a bulletin board or have a special announcement? Or
absolutely. Or if everybody goes into the clubhouse, if you have a clubhouse and a lot of people utilize that, put something in there, in the restrooms in the clubhouse, wherever it is, that kind of thing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you can do lots of things to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. And it is a strategy. I mean, I would say plan that out, folks. So, I mean, if you know you have something big coming along, say, we're going to do that this week. In 2 weeks, we're going to do the next thing. And then we're going to follow it up with something else. And then is our town hall, calendar it out. So it's not a surprise to you. And so it's not a surprise to the owners as it comes out.
Some of the questions had to do with owner apathy. So how do you, let's say you run your first town hall and 4 people show up and you've got 100 or 200 unit association. How do you stimulate getting the message out when maybe you haven't in the past, or maybe you have an ownership base that arguably is happy with the way things are, and so they aren't concerned? How do you stimulate them and say, we've got something new, this is something you need to know, something care about? How do you engage them? I
wouldn't suggest doing this first right off. I try a couple things first and see what kind of engagement you receive from the owners. But as Robert, before we started recording, you and I were talking about this, is it a wise thing to say, dear owners, the board is thinking of a special assessment in the amount of X because we have these bills. Please come to a town hall. Well, I'll tell you, if that doesn't get them out there, nothing will. But I wouldn't make that my first communication.
Right. So that's part of the strategy play. Understand you may have to adjust, maybe like in a baseball game, you adjust your strategy, you get into later innings. Depending on what the score is, how people are responding. So know what tools you have at your disposal and don't necessarily throw them all out at once, but guide the owners through the process and gathering their engagement.
And if one type of communication doesn't work for your community, I mean, let's just say you have a regular hard copy newsletter, right? Yeah. And if people aren't reading that and you're not getting any engagement out of it, you may want to keep doing it, but you need to start doing something else. So don't get married to exactly what you started out with. Yeah. Right.
Something, what I hear you saying again is that the repeatedness of, what have we heard in marketing? You have to send the message.
First rule of marketing, 7 times in front of someone and they see it. So think about that for you board members out there. I sit on 2 boards, by the way. Ooh. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's right. But it's people don't see things right away. I mean, literally 7 times in front of someone and they see it. So don't think you're going to put 1 or 2 things out and you're going to have all this giant engagement, especially if your community hasn't had regular communication to its owners ever, or only twice a year or something like that.
Is it also some word choices rather than saying the association? Maybe you should say our association.
It is our association, correct. The one thing I want to impress on this is that when you communicate like this and you are all of a sudden you're bringing owners into the process of the administration of the community, right? That's exactly what you're doing. And people who are part of the process, they start feeling, well, it's not me against the board, it's our community. And we have a stake in this. So I think, as a board member, believe me, you feel like you're the no police. Everything's no this, don't park there,
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
this, no doing this, pick up the after your dogs, whatever it is. But, if you kind of step back from being the no police and more guide people into this and bring them into the process, I think I know your engagement will be better, and it will also be more positive.
Yeah. As we follow our property values, as we guide our association into the future, so that positive thing, again, helping to draw them forward. Talk about, we had a number of questions about board meeting minutes. Is that really a communication vehicle, or is that more just business and part
That's
of
more
running a
business. I
corporation?
mean, yes, it's a vehicle. I would say it shouldn't be the primary vehicle that you communicate with your owners, because minutes should only be very, very limited. So you're really just call to order, quorum, then call to order. Yes. And it's just boom, boom, boom. Approval of the previous minutes and motions approved. Discussion and all this other kind of thing should not be in the minutes. And so for a lot of associations, they know that. So this is how they write them. And people don't exactly understand the background. So if you want to give people information on the background, that's where this other communication comes in. You can't do it in the minutes. Otherwise, your minutes are going to be 70 pages long, and don't do that.
Right. So see minutes as the business of the corporation, the landmarks,
Right.
almost like think like a check register. If we can think back to check registers,
yeah, sure.
What check did I write? It's not the why. It's not that we interviewed 3 people. It's not that this vendor had the right bid for these 3 reasons. That's a different subject. And so separate the business of meeting minutes from your primary idea of communication. Okay, good.
Correct.
I like that. And then for those who don't understand, my understanding of meeting minutes is they are the corporate record. At every meeting, you review them, you pick up the changes. Oh, you misspelled Mrs. Johnson in unit number 13's name, or she's unit number 14. You have the opportunity to revise them and update. So you do have a good cohesive record of what was going on at the association. But again, we're talking about record keeping. We're not talking about
communication.
Exactly. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So see meetings as record keeping. Okay, the pipeline. How do we get owners to board members? It's just us, and we're working hard. Can you talk about not just the communication pipeline, but the talent pipeline? How do we draw owners forward and add that richness to running an association?
Well, committees, of course, are the obvious thing. Committees are a wonderful pipeline for new board members, right?
Got it.
So if you, as board members or a manager out there, if you see people within the community that you think would be, that they're engaged and they have some knowledge of whatever the committee is in charge of, if there's a finance committee, typically if you have a retired person who's a CPA, they like being on the finance committee, not on the social committee. Make sure it's true though. Make sure that the right people are in the right spot, that somewhere that they're going to succeed and feel they have a grasp around the subject. And then they're having a positive interaction with the association. And now it's our association. I'm involved in it, right? And those people can be the pipeline to come up and be board members, because unless you are a very sick person, you do not want to be on the board for 25 years. So that's a good spot for that to be.
And maybe define it well. So even let's say the young couple with small kids, you've defined it. And so it's a very small, I want to say a closed project. We need 2 hours of your time over the next month to help us vision the future. Should we change our color scheme? Should we change the font of our 20-year-old sign that's out front? What attracted you to the community? And just keep it nice and small so it doesn't seem like, oh no, there's no way.
What you're really talking about? You're talking about an ad hoc committee. So a committee that has been, it may be 2 or 3 people they're just charged with doing one thing. It's just of a short duration. It's not like the landscape committee that works all the time, the architectural committee that goes all the time. Yeah.
And your job is to gather this information and report back to our board meeting on October 13th or whatever it is.
Right.
So they know there's a start and an end, and that can't be too bad.
And then they go off. Yes.
Nice.
That's setting people up for success. Typically what happens in associations that when there's not enough volunteers, someone finally volunteers, and what happens, they become the board president because no one else will do it because they've got new blood. And all that does is leave a bad taste in people's mouth. And believe me, they don't just keep that to themselves. They talk to other people about it.
Did you know that's how I became board president?
No, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I bought my unit must have been summertime. And I think it was my second board meeting. The president and the vice president resigned. And I think there were two of us guests, owners in the meeting. And they looked at me, I was the new guy. And they said, well, how about you be president? I said, I didn't say these words, but if you knuckleheads can do it, I certainly can.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
My motivation was I was mortgaged up to here. Yeah. And I knew that I cared about the future of this place.
Yes.
And I think that's what you need to touch in the owners, caring about the future. It's your association. It's our association. Mm-hmm. Most of us have mortgages. We need to care. Okay. One more on that kind of subject is with limited board members, limited budgets, limited talent, is it ever appropriate for a board member to actually do some of the work? A little bit of light weeding, a little bit of vacuuming the clubhouse, picking up, talked about going down that path of board members doing work.
It happens. It happens. I know it happens. Make sure you have workers' comp or whatever it's called in your state. In our state, it's called L&I, but make sure your association holds a policy on that. But as a rule of thumb, I don't approve of that at all, because really what you're doing as a board member is you are subsidizing the association through your own labor. And number one, and so you're giving people a false sense of who's supposed to do what. And then all of a sudden you get the call at 9:00 at night saying there's a light out in my home, or not in my home, on my home.
Or the jacuzzi is stuck on.
Yeah, the jacuzzi's stuck, and that's not your job as a board member. That's a service provider, a vendor's job. Your job may be to call management and have them call. So as a rule of thumb, I don't like it. Because that kind of thing, when board members start doing that kind of thing, let's talk about the burnout level that happens on them. If they are the ones that get that call and they go have to do it. So does it happen? Yes. Do I think it should? No, but it is a reality. Just make sure you have the appropriate insurance. Call your insurance agent if you're not sure of what you should have.
Yeah. What I heard you say there was it extends the hours that you put in as a board member, getting a replacement even tougher when they see you as a board member out doing that.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. If someone's going to get on the board and they say, you mean I have to take calls and go replace light bulbs at night? Especially, I will tell you, as time goes on and a younger group is coming up now, younger, I mean, 50s, 60s, and they're going to start. That's what I mean. It's because a lot of board members obviously are retired. They have the time. And so, especially one of the boards I serve on, yes, I have two board members that do a whole lot. I tell them they shouldn't, but whatever. We do have the right insurance. So, but when people look at that, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, who's going to do that after that? Well, we're going to have to hire a new contractor, and that's going to be X amount more per month, which we should have been paying all along anyway. It's not a good practice overall. And if you're doing it right now, out to board members, if you guys are doing that, I would try and start weaning the association off of that amount of your time.
Yeah, that's the same answer I hear from different attorneys that I hear address that same subject.
It's a liability waiting to happen. It is a liability, even though you have insurance. But, if you're a board member and you're 74 or 5, which is right around the corner for me, and you're 74 or 5, and, you hurt your back, or you break an ankle out walking around or doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Well, now you're laid up. Now there's going to be a workers' comp claim against the association's insurance. And now who's going to take your place knowing that you had to do all that? It's really kind of a lose-lose.
Yeah. There's nothing good that I see coming from that.
Mm-mm. People think they're saving money with that, Robert. A lot of associations, well, we're just saving, $200 or $300 or $500 a month in handyman services. Well, it's, that's great if you're looking at a small picture, but you need to look at the big picture of managing an association. And the big picture is have appropriately licensed and bonded and insured vendors. And folks, you're not one. So don't do that.